Welcome everybody to a top 10 best mature anime. Wow, that's an ambiguous word to use. That's either gonna get me demonetized or disappoint a lot of people. Either way, nobody wins here today, I think. I'm thinking the word mature in a very literal sense. It's not gonna be about milk. In Japanese, there's a term that is used to describe this kind of content, and it's called a seinen anime. Those are anime aimed at a demographic intended for adult audience, an adult male audience. Not to be confused with the other kind of adult content. Look, it's confusing. The bottom line is those are anime that tackle subjects that wouldn't appeal to a teen as much. My name is Misty / Chronexia, and rather than just bore you with more detail, let's just start this list. You'll see. You'll figure it out. You're smart. Number 10, Nihon Animator Ichi. This anime is different than the rest. This took part of the Japanese Animator Expo in 2015, where several studios and directors alike joined together to create a compilation of anime. Each episode is about 4 to 10 minutes long, and the most notable ones are probably the Me episode. While that in itself could be ground to fit the mature tag we're aiming for here, I actually want to put the highlight on some other titles from that compilation. Notably, the Robot on the Road episode, which is a story about a girl picking up a hitchhiking robot who turned out to be quite the perverted automaton. Or my personal favorite one, a 20-minute walk from Nishi Ogikubo Station. A story of a girl who wakes up in her apartment and has been shrunk down to a minuscule size. Her boyfriend sees her as a cockroach and tries to eradicate her. Unfortunately, she's nagging during the whole process, so I can't show you any footage, but I highly recommend you seek it out. Number 9, Gina Sampai, a very adult-like comedy with lewd scenes addendum. The premise is about a guy who wants to join a club to have as little involvement as possible. He finally finds what he's looking for in the Magic Club, a club with a very eccentric member who likes to do magic tricks. Unfortunately, she's extremely clumsy and always ends up in precarious situations like getting tied up or splashing water all over herself. You know, magic gone wrong, not clickbait. Of course, our main character always ends up sucked into her shenanigans, and a colorful cast also joins the party to lighten things up a bit more. If you enjoy light school comedy with the occasional fanservice and the whole slice of life experience, not that riveting, but I still recommend it if you're looking for some ambient noise in the background. Number 8, Tsugumomo. A bit more compelling is Tsugumomo. On the surface, this one seemed like another generic harem rom-com with fanservice handed out like a continental breakfast at the Holiday Inn. If you stop to look between the lines, this is where I find the show shines the most. Premise follows a part of Japanese folklore where when you become attached to an object so much, that said object becomes sentient and takes a life of its own. They took a literal sense to that legend, and there you go, it gives you Tsugumomo. Beyond that, the charm of the anime lies in the characters' chemistry. When you have a harem, what usually kills my mood is how bland and one-dimensional the cast is. In this case, the synergy you find between them leaves you with good experience altogether. The main girl character's playfulness is quite endearing, and that was what charmed me the most in this anime. Number 7, Kikoshi Enma. Now, if you're starting to be bored of happy, cheerful, lewd comedy, let me toss in Kikoshi Enma real quick. Enma is another anime based off folklore, and this one is about the demon prince, whose mission is to track and hunt down demons that have escaped from the underworld. To his side is the Snow Princess, a fellow demon that acts as his partner. What's interesting with this anime is that they made two versions, a very dark and gritty one, the one you're currently seeing on your screen, unless you're playing me like a fucking podcast, or the 2011 cartoony comic parody one. Whichever you align with more, feel free to pick. They tell the exact same tale, except one is more caricature-like.
行くぜ。仕事は終わりだ。
かっこつけてごまかしてんじゃないわよ。
Number 6, Monster Musume. Here's a title I didn't quite expect to get the seinen tag on, but here we are. In its defense, this anime does have some pretty intricate plot points that gives you a bit to think about. Not too much, just a bit. Her main character lives alone and has been solicited by the government to become a host for Monster Girl. I had originally another joke about Holiday Inn, but I realized that was really poor writing, so you don't get it. However, he is not allowed to have sex with them because that would breach the interracial law. Look, it's almost 2020. We have gay people that can finally get married, and you're gonna lose your marbles for a dude who wants to put his participe passé in her subjonctif présent. Hashtag Misty Chronexia for 2020, and we will make furry love a thing. Or, you know, plant 20 million trees, whichever you feel is more important. Hold on, I'm taking a sip of coffee. Yeah, I could cut it out, but it's important for me, so you're gonna have to sit through it. Number 5, Kyono Gono ni. Today in class 5-2. Yes, 5 as in 5th grade. Why is an anime about middle schooler aimed at adults? I don't know! Sounds like ground for a lawsuit, but I'm just the internet funny man that puts a spotlight on those things. Jokes aside, the anime is handled with a pretty nice touch. A story about a group of students stumbling through puberty. It has bits of wholesome, bits of realism, and a touch of nostalgia that overall make this a pretty fun show. The comedy is light for the most part, but still hits on some real aspect, which is nice to get a different insight on. Out of all the light rom-com on this list, I feel this is one of the better ones, and it's also one that's on the more unknown side. For completionist's sake, it's well worth picking up. Number 4! Mangaka-san to Assistant-san, the animation from the studio that brought you Legend of the Legendary Heroes, and several other great forgettable titles like The Great Passage or Rokuhuro Yotsuiru Biyori now present Mangaka-san to Assistant-san. So why should you pick this ecchi seinen combo as opposed to all the other ones I've listed so far? The premise is about a manga writer who needs to push out chapters for his manga real soon. So one of his assistants, a girl, obviously, constantly barrage him with needs for updates. The problem is, while the writer is perverted, he has very little experience with girls, so he needs his assistant to provide him with, let's call them live reference, to put it legal. If you like Bakuman or Nozaki-kun, you're bound to enjoy this one too. It's a manga writing behind the curtain kind of anime. It shows you some interesting aspect about the craft and provide you with the occasional fanservice while offering a heavy dose of comedy. That's quite fun. Number 3, Needless. Needless is like My Hero Academia if All Might was kind of a perv and Toga was his sidekick. Yeah, that's how I would put it. The story is about a world on the brink of World War III. Certain people caught in areas called black spots are turned into needless, people with special powers. Adam Blade is one of the needless, and his power of super strength and regeneration gives him quite the edge over his enemies. He must team up with previously mentioned Toga and other needless to take on a special group that tries to take over. Overall, simplistic as a premise, but quite entertaining with the occasional drop for fanservice. The wackiness is similar to Gurren Lagann or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Clearly not as popular as them, but still a fun time if you dig superhero stuff. Number 2, Simonetta. This anime deserves so much praises. While it does masquerade as a lewd comedy, it really taps into some quite polarizing geopolitical content about mass media. Yes, this is a lot of hard word for adult. This is the only title on this list that does not have, surprisingly, the seinen tag on. But fuck it, I overrule it. Yeah, I can use veto power like that. I think it deserves it regardless. Simonetta is a story about the world in Japan in the near future where they have banned all kind of pornographic media. Everything is censored, like even more than it currently is. So a group of teenager vigilantes decides to spread chaos by yelling profanities, drawing dicks on subway walls, and overall just seeding chaos all around. It's like a Japanese Detroit neighborhood. Everything is paired with a very critical commentary on the current crisis, and of course the heavy dose of comedy and fanservice I've been mentioning throughout this list so far. Well, we're trying if you've been postponing this one.
だってこの組織名ほら王が伏せ字みたいで卑猥でしょシルバー
And finally, standing in a corner at a massive 220 pounds, you have the legend, the only one, Gantz O. Whether you're deciding to start with the original Gantz anime or that you just straight up jump in the action with Gantz O, or if you even stick with the manga, this is a franchise that I can praise on every front every day of the week. The story begins with Kurono and Kato, two high school students that die after getting run over by a subway. The train kind, not the sandwich kind. Upon dying, they get immediately teleported into a game where fellow recently dead people must play a game of capture aliens to score points. That's how I'm gonna put it. Getting 100 points grants you a wish, but if you die again in that game, it's game over. For real. I said game a lot. I've always praised this anime for its take on death and the fact that no one is safe. Look into my eyes when I say this. I mean, you can't, but no one is safe. Do pick up the manga if you want a phenomenal, complete experience, or if you just want to dip your toe in the story. Both the anime and the CGI movie, yes, even the movie, it's really well done. They gave it a real good shot. I love them to bits. So if after all this you watch the entire video and still have no clue what I meant with the word mature, let's just say you and I both. I just simplify it as an ecchi seinen combo. They may not appeal to a lot of people, but they're also quite niche, and I know a lot of people watches my video to find new titles to binge. And that's why I'm always excited to pull out the spotlight on more obscure titles. If you've seen all of these, I recommend you check out my other top 10s. We have a really neat playlist, or you can just watch the recent ones I did. Whichever topic you can think of. If it's an anime, I've probably talked about it. And if not, well, feel free to leave a request in the comment section down below and subscribe to see it come to life. If you click that bell, it helps me out too. Do people still do that? The bell thing? Can I guilt trip you into it? Do it or else. I can't come up with a threat on the spot, but you can be assured it's a real big one. Oh boy, oh wee. Thanks for letting me waste your time. Hope you have a great day. Bye!
Hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.